I'd like to welcome you to the State of the Economy 2025. Since 2015, the State of the Economy has been the opportunity to bring together our community and objectively examine key economic indicators. This annual event allows us to share our challenges and celebrate our successes. While 2024 had its share of highs and lows, St. Petersburg remains a resilient city full of economic opportunity. And to get us started, please join me in welcoming our mayor, Kenneth T. Welch.
Thank you, James. I only get called Kenneth T when I'm in trouble, so you kind of shook me up there for a minute. Good afternoon, everyone. How are y'all doing? And welcome to the 2025 State of the Economy. It's a pleasure to stand before you today as we reflect on some of the milestones and accomplishments of our incredible city of St. Petersburg. Before we delve into the details of our economic landscape, I want to take a moment to thank and acknowledge the individuals who make up our St. Pete team. So if you're a member of the St. Pete team, if you would just raise your hand and be recognized. Please give them a hand. Your dedication and hard work are really the driving force behind the progress that we've achieved and the vision that we're striving for, and really setting those pillars for progress so that our private sector can do what they do best. I also want to acknowledge our chair of the City Council, Copley Gertis, who is with us, our vice chair, Lisette Hanowitz, Councilmember Mike Harding, and Councilmember Corey Givens, who's with us as well. She fooled me, she's 2 rows back, Councilmember Deborah Fix Sanders. Okay, any other council members? All right, thank you all for your leadership as well. In recent years, our city has truly come into its own, shedding the sleepy image of heaven's waiting room and emerging as one of the most desirable places to live in the country. While those of us who have long cherished St. Petersburg have always known the magic of our city, it's really gratifying to see the rest of the nation recognizing the charm and vitality that defines St. Petersburg. And we definitely have the awards and the accolades to prove it. With an influx of new residents and a steadfast commitment to those who have long called St. Pete home, our administration has laid out the 5 pillars of progress that guide our endeavors. The first being equitable development, arts, and business opportunities. We believe in creating and sustaining an environment where every individual, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to thrive and contribute to our vibrant business and arts scene. Housing opportunities for all. We recognize the importance of ensuring that every resident has access to safe, affordable housing, laying the foundation for a strong and resilient community. Environment, infrastructure, and resilience. We are committed to preserving and protecting our natural resources, while investing in robust infrastructure to ensure our city improves our resiliency in the face of our new realities. The fourth, education and youth opportunities. Our young people are the future of our city, and we are dedicated to providing them with the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. And fifth, neighborhood health and safety. We prioritize the well-being of every neighborhood, working to create safe, healthy, and vibrant communities where all residents can thrive. These pillars not only guide our work, but serve as our ongoing commitment to listening to the needs and desires of our community. By prioritizing smart growth and inclusivity, we've seen not only a surge in our population, but also a robust and inclusive economic growth. Now, none of this would be possible without each and every one of you here today. Your passion and support have shaped St. Petersburg into a vibrant and inclusive city that it is today. Together, we have the power to continue driving positive change, remaining impactful, innovative, informed, intentional, inclusive, and in touch with the needs of our community. Those I's are our governing principles. So today's presentation will consist of 2 topics. First, you'll hear our team talk about resilient St. Pete. Hurricanes Helene and Milton reinforce our belief that we are stronger together. Our partners at the federal, state, and local levels partnered to provide an unprecedented response to these hurricanes so that our local businesses, neighbors, and residents could build back quickly and efficiently. Our St. Pete Agile Resilience Plan, or SPAR, is an aggressive plan to accelerate our efforts to strengthen our infrastructure for long-term resilience. Guest speaker Brian Conan, a retired U.S. Navy captain, vice president of ocean mapping at Saildrone Incorporated, and president of the Hydrographic Society of America, will offer remarks during this part of the presentation. Thank you for being with us today. The second section, Economic Opportunity, will focus on data that includes taxable value, construction value, permitting, demand, and availability of office space and retail space, and updates on key city enterprise facilities and commercial development projects and workforce programs. Russell Williams, Director of Recruiting for Power Design, will also provide us with some insights during this part of the presentation. Russell, you're way down there. Thank you for being with us today. I'd also like to thank our partners and hosts tonight in this endeavor. Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, who has provided this space and staff today, and Duke Energy for sponsoring the reception. Thank you for your support of our event. I'd like to recognize a few folks personally. From All Children's, Alicia Schulhoff, president, is not with us today, but we want to thank her. David Billardello, vice president of government affairs and chief of staff. David, are you here? Yeah, I'm here. Okay, thank you, David. And Angela Holliday, community affairs and engagement director. Angela? Way in the back. Okay, thank you. And from Duke Energy, Pavita Samuel, economic development manager. Okay. And a person we all know, he better be here. Jeff Baker, is Jeff here? I didn't see him. All right, tell Jeff I called him out. All right, and Jeff Baker, government and community relations manager. So thank you all for being here. Together we continue to work to ensure that St. Pete isn't just a beautiful community, but really a thriving hub of economic opportunity for all who call it home, whether they are folks who've been there all their life like me or newcomers who want to join our vibrant community. Together we are St. Pete. And now please join me in welcoming our chair of the City Council, Copley Gertis.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for joining us here today. This is a fun topic for me. If you know anything about me, I've been a financial advisor 14 years, and so talking about economy, my nerd brain got to fire a little bit, got fired up. And so when we're talking about the economy, there are really two: the microeconomy, the household, the business, and the macroeconomy. Now, us at City Council and colleagues, thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. When we get to see the whole map, we get to see the whole picture, right? We get to see the big lens. And our residents, they bring that smaller lens, that microeconomy to us. And so when we're talking about microeconomics, there might be some people who don't feel the same as we do about the macro economy of St. Petersburg. People still wanting to get back into their homes, wanting to make sure that their business can still operate. But let me tell you, as a council, and I know administration, we continue to work on these things, adding a permitting team of 6 members, suspended code enforcement to make sure that if you need to have a trailer outside your home, you're able to do that. The Hometown Haulers program of $1.6 million back into St. Pete businesses. The We Are St. Pete Fund, the Southside CRA programming that just last year put $1.5 million back into 193 businesses. Not to mention CDBGDR, $162 million, and the SPAR program. So when we're talking about microeconomics, that does not get lost on us. We hear you, we see you, we are going to continue to invest there. Now we switch, right? For the first 10 years of being a financial advisor, I helped develop young advisors, and I always told them, it's the lens you look through. It's the lens you look through. Just a few weeks ago, one of them called me and said, Copley, I don't know anybody in St. Petersburg. I said, well, your opportunity is significantly different than you think. You think you don't have a market. I think you have an opportunity to meet 290,000 people for the first time. And so it's the lens that you look through. So the macro lens that we get to look through, being in such a place of strength coming into 2025. we had just over $92 million above target balance coming into 2025. And that's not just because of us and the work that we've done. We've certainly continued to invest in that. But it's because of council members and mayors that have come before us. Councilmember Montanari, Councilmember Ford, Councilmember Foster, Councilmember Gertis, Kreisman, Dudley, who did the work going in to this year, and we know how tough it has been at the beginning. And so again, as we look to those macro programming, just last night, I was at the Entrepreneurial Academy graduation cohort of 12 new entrepreneurs for the chamber. Being in that room was incredible, seeing their excitement, ready to open their first business in St. Petersburg. A few weeks before that, I was with 30 tech owners in the city of St. Pete, yearning for capital and talent in the city of St. Petersburg. 2025 alone has 33 projects on transit-oriented development pipeline. The planning that this city has done is working. And so as you'll continue to see over the next few minutes, the data, the resiliency of St. Pete and our economy is continuing to move forward. We are strong, we are resilient, and we certainly are St. Pete. So, all city residents, this is what I can promise you. My colleagues and I, with partnership with the mayor, will continue to passionately pursue a brighter, a stronger, and an even more resilient economy for City of St. Petersburg than the one we are going to celebrate today. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm going to invite James Corbett back up to the stage, and we are St. Pete. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chair Gertis. I feel like I was in church there. Amen, brother. So now we'll get to your nerd brain and let's talk some numbers, and we'll start with population. So the city of St. Petersburg has experienced a notable population growth of 3.38% since 2020. 3.38% between 2020 and 2024. And while population growth has slowed since the peak during the pandemic, St. Petersburg continues to experience a stronger growth rate than the county as a whole. Pinellas County has also experienced an increased population and growth from 2020 through 2023. However, the county saw a slight decrease in population in 2024, so now I'd like to take a closer look at where that's occurring. St. Petersburg comprises 27.5% of the county's total population. However, St. Petersburg accounts for 72% of the county's population growth since 2020. Clearwater, Largo, and Pinellas Park also experienced population growth collectively making up 37.1% of the county's growth since 2020. Meanwhile, in unincorporated Pinellas County, they've lost nearly 1,000 residents since 2020, and the rest of the county has saw a slight decrease in population. Let's talk about cost of living. There is a significant discussion on affordability throughout the Tampa Bay region. And so let's look at some cost of living data. The U.S. average, having an index of 100, our region is slightly higher than average with grocery and transportation costs. However, the overall area is still more affordable than the U.S. average with a composite index of 97.6. If we look at the major areas in Florida, Tampa Bay has a slightly higher cost of living than Orlando, but is significantly more affordable than South Florida. Compared to our competitor markets, we are on par with Austin and more affordable than Nashville. While our community has faced some significant challenges in the last year, our healthy population growth and lower than average costs of living positions St. Petersburg to bounce back stronger than ever. And now I'd like to introduce our City Economic Development Manager, Andrea Falvey, to introduce our first topic of the afternoon, Resilient St. Pete.
Flan, am I missing something here? There we go. Thank you. Thank you, James. Good afternoon, and let me add my thanks to you all for joining us. Last fall, St. Petersburg faced an unprecedented challenge when Hurricane Helene made landfall in late September and was followed less than 2 weeks later by Hurricane Milton. Our community was confronted with the reality of recovering from a storm that brought intense flooding impacts, while simultaneously preparing for a major hurricane that was projected to make a direct hit on the Tampa Bay region. Overall, city staff dedicated more than 280,000 hours to storm preparation, response, and recovery activities, all the while dealing with the impacts of the storms on their own homes and families. This time commitment is the equivalent of over 11,600 days, or 32 years of cumulative time. These figures do not include the thousands of hours put in by the partner agencies that assisted the city, including the state's Department of Emergency Management, FEMA, Pinellas County, and many other community groups and faith-based organizations. I know I speak for all of my colleagues when I say it was an honor for us to serve alongside each other as we helped our neighbors recover from the devastating impacts of the storms. Additionally, these two hurricanes generated more than 2 million cubic yards of debris, which is enough to fill almost 94 football fields. This was 5 times the amount of debris that was generated during Hurricanes Idalia, Ian, and Irma combined, and is removed by the city in 90 days. These two hurricanes damaged more than 15,000 structures in the city. In response to this, the city's Building and Development Services team reviewed over 11,700 post-disaster emergency permits, or PDEPs, with over 10,600 being issued. This represents over $228 million in construction value. And the city also waived over $2 million worth of fees associated with these permits. The extraordinary impacts of these storms brought about the need for our community to consider new and innovative response and recovery strategies. One of these solutions was the city's Hometown Recovery Haulers program. In conjunction with many community partners that are here in this room with us this afternoon, and the city's sanitation, purchasing, and finance departments, as well as its Office of Equity, the Hometown Haulers program sought to utilize small, independent contractors from throughout the city to remove debris generated by Helene and Milton from some of St. Pete's most impacted neighborhoods. Over 100 participants hauled over 5,300 loads of debris, and the program injected over $1.6 million into our local economy through these small businesses. The city's Small Business Disaster Assistance Program was another initiative designed to support St. Pete businesses that were impacted by the hurricanes. Utilizing $200,000 from the We Are St. Pete Fund, the city sought to assist businesses that had not yet been able to reopen or get fully back up and running due to the effects of the storms. During the 8-day application period, the Economic and Workforce Development team were able to assist 20 applicants and expended the entire $200,000 allotment. As you can see by the map on the screen, businesses all over the city benefited from the program, with 40% of them being located in the South St. Petersburg Community Redevelopment Area. As the mayor mentioned in his opening, looking forward now, our St. Pete Agile Resilience Plan, or SPAR, represents a bold, accelerated approach to strengthening the city's infrastructure and ensuring long-term resilience in the face of climate challenges. This plan and its projects, many of which are listed on the slide, calls for prioritizing and fast-tracking infrastructure initiatives that will provide immediate and lasting impacts. The current plan anticipates advancing an additional $545 million in investments over the next 5 years. In addition to governmental agencies and community groups, our private sector businesses represent another significant partnership in the city's recovery and resiliency efforts. We are so fortunate to be joined today by Captain Brian Connon, Vice President of Ocean Mapping at Saildrone, a company located right here in the Innovation District that plays a very unique role in our area's storm preparations. Captain Conan, United States Navy retired, along with his role at Saildrone as president of the Hydrographic Society of America. A certified hydrographer, he holds a Bachelor's of Science in Geography from the University of South Carolina, a Master's of Science in Oceanography and Meteorology from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, and another Master's of Science in Hydrography from the University of Southern Mississippi. He is a chartered marine scientist and fellow of the Institute for Marine Engineering, Science, and Technology. Brian served for over 28 years as an oceanographer and hydrographer in the U.S. Navy and brings his passion for mapping, exploring, and protecting our oceans to his work at Saildrone. Please join me in welcoming Captain Conan.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Mr. Mayor, council members, thanks for inviting me to come talk to you today. This probably be a little different from what you're used to seeing. How many of you know about Saildrone? See some hands. How many of you watch hurricane videos and get sick because they're going up and down? Yeah, okay, we're not going to talk about those. We may talk about those a little bit, but just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about what we're doing here in St. Pete. Why is Saildrone here? And hopefully give you an idea of our commitment to the community here as well. So this is our vision and our mission, and really it rotates around the fact that the planet is governed by our oceans. And if our oceans aren't healthy, and if they're not safe and secure, then the whole earth is going to be in trouble. And so at Saildrone, we do all kinds of data collection and monitoring to help make sure that our oceans are safe and secure so that we have a healthy planet. So we are one of the leading providers of collecting data out there where the data needs to be collected. 71% of the earth is covered in water. Only 25% of that has been mapped. A lot of people don't think about that, but we don't know what's down there. And we also don't know what is happening in these remote parts of the world, down around Antarctica, middle of the Indian Ocean. How do we get out there and collect data that supports the scientists who are building models to help project what is going to happen? Come on. There we go. We have three kind of business pillars that we work at Saildrone. The top one there, defense and security. So we're out right now monitoring a lot of the drug routes coming out of the Caribbean, both on in the Windward Pass and out of Key West. We've got 10, 12, maybe 15 of our drones down there now with cameras and radars and trying to help the Coast Guard and the Navy stop the flow of drugs coming into the country. And we have a similar effort going on out in the Pacific. Jumping down the bottom, the ocean research. This is where we were doing those hurricane missions with our drones, some launched from here in St. Pete into the Gulf, trying to understand what's happening around the world by collecting data in a persistent manner. Our drones can stay at sea for up to 12 months at a time. And so being able to collect information and give scientists a really good long data set so that they can try and better model what's happening has really been our goal. And then in the middle, which I think is the most important part, mostly because that's my part, is the ocean mapping and understanding what is under the water. And I'll explain what we're doing here in Florida with that right now and why ocean mapping can be tied to hurricanes and resilience. So we do have our headquarters is out in Alameda, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have an office in DC, and then what we have our ocean mapping headquarters at the hub. Shout out to my hub peeps in the back there, here in St. Pete. And I'll talk a little bit about how we ended up there in a minute. We also have some partners that build some things for us, our hulls and our wings that are scattered around the U.S. So why St. Pete? Now, you all can probably answer that because it's a great place. Location, 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 right? So Dr. Monty Graham, who I guess is still formerly director of FIO, he was my boss at University of Southern Mississippi. And he called me one day, he goes, "Aren't you guys looking for a spot on the East Coast somewhere?" I said, "Well, we might be." And he goes, "Well, we have this SRI building that's getting ready to be doing something kind of cool. You should come check it out." And so we did, and we met Allison. And we decided this would be a great place for us. The facility was perfect for the size of the operation we needed to do here. And I was even more intrigued by the vibrant maritime community that is here in St. Pete that a lot of people don't know about. You have, obviously, USF, who has a huge marine science program that's very good. We're hiring students from there right now. You've got NOAA Fisheries, you have Fish and Wildlife, you have big companies who do cable surveys and oil and gas surveys that are based here in St. Pete. And so as I started to discover, all of the synergy that was happening here, I knew that we wanted to be here. Again, that proximity to USF, where we can work with COMET, the Center for Ocean Mapping Innovative Technology, and bring interns over, and then when they graduate, give them a job and make them and their parents very happy. I'm a parent of college graduates, so I know what it means. But you can kind of see here we are with some of our drones in the back of the hub, and then that Hurricane drone getting launched out of here last year. So, but why Saildrone? Why do people want to use Saildrone? And I think the big reason is we're not a research and development entity. We are operational, uncrewed systems going to sea, collecting data that is usable by scientists and others to make decisions. We've been at sea over 46,000 days. We've traveled, we're now approaching 2 million nautical miles sailed with our drones. We can get out there and get the job done. And we do this globally, not just here in the US, we've been all over the world. So why an uncrewed surface vehicle? Ships are expensive. Ships have people on them, and people are expensive. When you put people on ships, prices go up even further, and now you have the risk of the safety of those individuals who are at sea. So if there are things that an uncrewed system can do and free that ship up to do the things that only a ship can do, and I'll give you an example of that, then this is a very good thing. We can also build many USVs for the cost of one ship. If you look at what NOAA is building right now, they're building a couple of oceanographic research ships that cost between $150 million to $200 million each and take 5 to 6 years to build, and we all know they all stay on schedule and on budget, whereas I can churn out some of our drones in as little as a month, and they cost way less than that. We're efficient. We are using a lot of solar power. We're using the wind to help propel the vehicle. So we're really, carbon friendly, all the things that you want to see when you're putting things out on the ocean. We're also using a lot of machine learning, a lot of computing on the edge. So this allowed all of our software engineers out in the Silicon Valley area to really focus on how do you pack all of this compute into a small space and then optimize it and automate it so that we're doing things differently. As an example, all of the sonar systems that we use, they require a person to be standing over it, manipulating, doing things all the time. And we've told them, stop building it for a manned platform. Build your software as if you're going to put it on a USV first. It'll still work on the ship, but now having it on a USV makes it much more efficient to run and to be able to work over the communication paths that you have. Now, certainly Starlink has been a huge enabler for us. It's a big enabler for anyone working offshore, and more systems like that are coming online. As I mentioned before, we've been around a little bit. We started in 2013. So we've done a lot of R&D initially with NOAA, making sure that we captured everything on our vehicles that they want to see and validating all of our sensors. So everything that we do has been validated by a federal partner in this, right now. Even on the defense side for things that we're doing today, the Navy has really been a great partner for us to make sure we're giving them information that's usable and actionable. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Voyager, which is, if you were to go over to the hub right now, we've got a couple of them in. This is a 10-meter or a 33-foot vehicle that is optimized for mapping in shallow water. So what does that mean? So on the bottom of this vehicle, there's a sonar that puts sound in the water. It reflects off the bottom, and by measuring the time difference of that, very simple explanation, we can actually get the depth of water and essentially show you a map of what's under the water. And I'll give you an example here in a second. Why is that important for resilience? Well, the project we're working was a $100 million project by the state of Florida to map the entire coastline of Florida. And one of the reasons you want to do that is, as we're trying to model storm surge that's coming ashore, If you don't know what the topography of the bottom is, your model isn't going to be accurate. By having the knowing that there is a coral reef, or there's a canyon, or there's some type of feature on the bottom that's going to interact with that storm surge, if we can capture that in high enough definition, we can actually better model where that storm surge is going to go, how high it's going to be, and better inform the public. You know, our hurricane mission was all about trying to improve our understanding of intensification of a hurricane. You know, we know where the hurricanes are going to go for the most part. The track has been pretty good. But how many of us have woken up on the morning when we had a Cat 3 last night and we have a Cat 5 this morning without that being forecast? It's because we don't understand the physics inside the storm. So that's what we were measuring when we're inside those hurricanes. We're trying to physically measure the energy transport between the storm and the ocean. So similarly, we're trying to build the basis for the models to make the coast resilient and again, improve our warning for our citizens. A lot of other reasons to collect this data. Safety of navigation is a big one, to update charts. Have any fishermen in the group? Yeah, I get requests all the time for the high resolution data so they can get a new, hidey hole fishing spot. See me after, buy me a beer. Blue economy. Obviously, Florida as a state is a huge blue economy, and St. Pete is no different. We depend on so much happening on the water. And so again, this type of information can feed that blue economy. We're helping understand marine archaeology. We're going to find wrecks. We may see ancient shoreline. We may see civilization remnants buried under the water that were there 10,000 years ago. There's so much information on the bottom of the ocean, and you can't see it. You have to go out and you have to measure it. So as part of the Florida Seabed Mapping Initiative, we were tasked with what's called the middle grounds. Excuse me. So we got a small piece. We're a small company. Some of the rest is some bigger companies are doing it. But you can kind of see pretty close to St. Pete, which was good for us. And your water depths range from 30 to 60 meters deep. So this is the progress to date that we've got there, and that looks pretty cool from there. But it really, when you start zooming in and get the high resolution data, you can see what type of data we're collecting. Right? You can see the extent of coral reefs. We're finding springs, deep holes. We're finding wrecks. All of this information is going to go to the state and then be made back available. Now, this initiative started here in St. Pete at USF with the Florida Coastal Mapping Project, which started, I don't know, Allison, maybe 7 years ago. And they went statewide and asked surveyed stakeholders, what do you need mapped and why? And then they kind of built a map of the most high demand areas. And that's kind of what has been followed. And so good on the state for going after the money to do this. Good on USF for starting that project. And we're excited to be a part of that. So really, that's all I have for you. I hope that was informative. We're proud to be here as part of the St. Pete community. I love coming over because I can't get a good grouper sandwich in New Orleans where I live. I don't understand, but we really enjoyed coming over and appreciate everything you're doing here. Thank you very much.
Being this clicker, we're not linked up, I'm not sure. Flan, could you advance for me? Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian. We're so proud that Saildrone calls St. Petersburg home. To prepare the Innovation District for its future growth, the city, along with the district's leadership, has embarked upon a master planning process. The Innovation District Master Plan began in 2024 and will be completed later this year. The plan is taking a comprehensive look at the places and spaces in and adjacent to the district. It includes discussions of zoning, infrastructure, public spaces, and facility uses, with a focus on improving the resiliency of the Innovation District by including topics such as resilient infrastructure and increased flood management through environmental design. Another planning effort the city is embarking upon is the District 2 Master Plan. This plan is intended to support North St. Petersburg's future development by connecting housing, economic development, transportation, and climate resiliency strategies to advance economic growth and build community resilience. The plan will integrate its foundational principles of equity, resiliency, and sustainability in infrastructure with the 4 guiding themes of people and places, urban and economic development, and transportation infrastructure that reflect the priorities of the community. The plan is anticipated to kick off later this year and will include a robust community engagement process, integrating an interactive mapping tool for public comments, as well as in-person engagement opportunities. Increasing the efficiency and reliability of the city's transportation infrastructure is another key component of bolstering the city's overall resiliency. This slide details many of the city's new transportation initiatives, including the Spark service on 34th Street, which will bring bus rapid transit-like service to South St. Petersburg. The route begins at Eckerd College on the Bayway and ends at Grand Central Station for easy connection to the expanded Sunrunner service and other routes serving the rest of Pinellas County. 2 other transportation infrastructure improvements to note are the West St. Pete Smart Signals Corridor project, which will allow the city to provide upgraded traffic signal equipment at 15 intersections along key corridors in West St. Petersburg. Another is the expansion of the city's bike share program. The city has been working to expand the geographic coverage of bike share since the program was enhanced by adding electric assist bikes in 2023. Initially only deployed in the greater downtown area, over time the bike share system has been expanded to include Coquina Key, Childs Park, historic Kenwood, the Warehouse Arts District, Sunken Gardens, and Crescent Heights. Now we've taken advantage of the Pinellas Trail to serve as the backbone of future expansion all the way west to Azalea Park. The city is also currently developing an access permit process for connections from private businesses to the trail to further increase activation. To discuss the city's efforts to further strengthen our small businesses, I would like to introduce my colleague, Tracy Smith, the city's greenhouse manager and small business liaison. Tracy?
Thank you, Andrea, and good afternoon, everyone. As we know, among the key contributors to our St. Petersburg thriving economy, our small businesses stand out as powerful economic drivers within our community. To support their growth and success, the city's Office of Supplier Diversity and the Greenhouse provide essential services and resources tailored to help these businesses thrive. Let's start with the city's Office of Supplier Diversity and the ways this team supports the local businesses. The purpose of the Office of Supplier Diversity, OSD, is to ensure that all businesses have access to fair and equitable opportunities. This includes its oversight of the city's Small Business Enterprise Program and Minority and Women-Owned Business Program. OSD also assists businesses in making connections with stakeholders with opportunities and building their capacity to be successful in their contracts. Since the creation of OSD, there have been several updates this office has made to enhance reporting capabilities and offer more insight into city spending. This including removing what is called non-addressable spend from reporting. Now, non-addressable spend typically includes required payments that cannot be converted to spend under management. And examples of non-addressable spend include required payments such as insurance and utilities. Conversely, addressable spend is the total amount of money that could benefit from some type of procurement oversight. OSD's new reporting now reflects the city's total addressable spend. There are currently 370 unique businesses actively certified with the City of St. Petersburg across both programs. This represents a 45% increase in overall certified firms since the inception of the Office of Supplier Diversity, since fiscal year 2023. The city also surpassed 300 certified businesses in fiscal year 2024, and this is the highest total certified businesses since 2018. It is also worth noting that there is no correlation between the total spend and the number of certified firms. The number of contracts awarded and the contract dollar amount will vary year over year. So although the number of SBE firms may increase, we may not automatically anticipate an increase in the overall total spend. OSD, however, remains focused on increasing the SBE spend by engaging current and potential suppliers in all areas. Overall, the changes in the data are a reflection of better, more accurate reporting and tracking with the Office of Supplier Diversity in place. Now, OSD also provides programming in the city's certified businesses. For instance, in 2024, OSD hosted Build St. Pete, which connected firms in the construction sector with opportunities and resources within the city, its partners, and beyond. This attracted businesses of various sizes from across the entire state of Florida. And just last week, OSD held St. Pete Supplier Summit. Now, this was a two-day summit that included education symposium and a supplier expo. Soon, OSD will be launching a competitive bidders prep program called Ready, Set, Bid. And for more information on the Office of Supplier Diversity, you can visit stpete.org/OSD. Another key player in supporting the area's small businesses is the Greenhouse, which is a collaboration between the City of St. Pete and the St. Pete Area Chamber of Commerce. The Greenhouse serves as the city's home to small business empowerment and the front door to business growth. This is the place for entrepreneurs to find equitable access to help their businesses start, grow, and thrive. Through our varied partnerships and collaborations for businesses, outreach, and referrals, including those with the Small Business Development Center, SCORE, TBBIC, Action Coach, and many others for business mentoring and workshops, the Greenhouse continues to provide curated programs, services, and resources to help our businesses thrive in a local and global economy. Within our cohort programs, networking, workshops, grant programs, outreach, pop-up events, theme events, pitch opportunities, and competitions, and our robust on-demand library, the Greenhouse prioritizes the value of creating spaces for client engagement. In 2024, the Greenhouse provided over 400 events with 2,700 clients engaged. Although Hurricane Helene did impact our end-of-the-year engagement for 2024, the Greenhouse still provided intentional and curated program, including storm outreach, to support St. Pete's unique and diverse business communities. Additionally, the Greenhouse offers the Business Navigation Program, where clients are paired with a team member who becomes their own Greenhouse liaison, guiding them along their entrepreneurial journey. This year, the Business Navigation Program was expanded to all 8 city council districts, assigning a Greenhouse representative to each council district in the city to conduct business visits and support the diverse needs of our corridor businesses. On the chart, in 2024, you'll note that 591 clients met with mentors and navigators for valuable one-on-one curated assistance for their businesses. And overall, mentors and navigators engaged with clients well over 3,800 times in support of their businesses. These contacts are where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, in direct assistance to clients, supporting the business's owners' strategic effort to work on their businesses and not in their businesses. Okay. There we go. The effectiveness of the Greenhouse's services is clearly demonstrated by the South St. Petersburg CRA Microfund Program, which has produced strong results through data-driven support and partnerships. The Microfund Program is a Greenhouse capacity building initiative that brought together navigators, the city's CRA and Economic Workforce Development Team, 7 partner organizations, and 7 different city departments to support 196 small businesses over 2 years. With $1.5 million allocated, the program helped brick-and-mortar businesses, childcare businesses, home-based, shared space, and startups implement their growth plans and complete an entrepreneurial mindset profile, assessing personality and skills necessary to be successful business owners. The Microfund program proudly achieved a 95% completion rate, highlighting its strong impact and engagement across the community. In addition to business support, the South St. Pete Community Redevelopment Area also invests in programs that enhance transportation, mobility, and connectivity within the community. The Connecting South St. Pete CRA study is a community-driven initiative that aims to identify strategies to improve walking, biking, and transit access across South St. Pete neighborhoods and commercial corridors. This study, sponsored by the City of St. Pete, the CRA, PSTA, and FDOT, will identify transportation projects with deep community support that can make a significant positive impact on the lives of residents and businesses within the community. Following several community engagement sessions, the CRA mobility study is now moving to the next phase, reviewing community feedback and beginning concept design. As we look to the future of the South St. Pete CRA, Voices from the Corridor builds on the legacy of the Deuces Corridor, bringing the community together to help shape what comes next. The Voices from the Corridor series sought to honor the Deuces, which is 22nd Street South, which includes part of the Warehouse Arts District, WADA, while providing a platform for community members to help shape the future of the area. Outcomes from the Voices series include recommendations for improvements on the Deuces that focus on enhancing public spaces, transportation infrastructure, safety, accessibility, and community identity. And here, we wrap up our review of community development and small business engagement with the recognition of our entrepreneurs, who the city is supporting through 3 business grants, with grant opportunities ranging from $2,500 to $20,000. The opportunities for funding are varied and inclusive. Additionally, the Greenhouse is proud to partner with the St. Pete Arts Advisory Committee to support the artists through a tailored program offering one-to-one navigator and mentor support to advance the artist's creative and business goals. We look forward to working with the 5 entrepreneurs who were recently approved for funding. And at this time, I welcome the city's Managing Director of the City Development Administration to the stage, Mr. Brian Caper.
Thank you, Tracy, and good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to present our second topic of the day, economic opportunity. As Mayor Welch previewed, I will discuss a variety of key economic indicators and review some major projects and programs happening in our community. Let's kick off the section by looking at our major employers. The map on the left shows employment density throughout St. Petersburg. The 2 most dense areas for employment are downtown and Gateway. And while that isn't too surprising, I want to point out the employment density in West St. Pete along the Central Avenue corridor within the Skyway Marina District, 34th Street, and 4th Street. The top 10 employers in St. Petersburg are on the right, listed alphabetically. Combined, these companies employ over 20,000 people and comprise 16% of the total number of jobs in St. Petersburg. Next, let's look at employment growth over the last 6 years. 2024 was the first year since the start of the pandemic in 2020 that the city, county, MSA, and state all experienced a decrease in employment. After years of strong post-pandemic employment growth, it began to slow in 2023 and became negative in 2024. While this impact is being felt throughout Florida, it is more pronounced in Pinellas County, which saw a 5.5% decline in employment. While St. Petersburg is not immune to this decline, fortunately, we fared a bit better than the county overall with a 3% reduction in employment in 2024. The labor force tells a similar story, with positive post-pandemic growth until experiencing a decrease in the labor force in 2024. Again, Pinellas County saw the most significant decrease in its labor force at nearly 5%, while St. Petersburg fared slightly better, seeing a decrease of 2.5%. These figures are attributable to many external factors, such as economic uncertainties around the election and increasing costs of living throughout Florida. However, this gap between Pinellas County and the state of Florida is likely heightened due to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. This further emphasizes the importance of our last section, Resilient St. Pete, and the continued investment in ensuring that our community is prepared to rebound against growing environmental factors. Fortunately, although employment and the labor force have decreased, our unemployment rate remains near historic lows at 3.2%, lower than the region, the state, and the U.S. Business tax receipts refer to the number of businesses registered with the city of St. Petersburg. These registrations peaked in FY 2021 due to the pandemic, creating an increase in home-based businesses and entrepreneurs. However, since then, the numbers have returned to their normal historic values, with 15,310 tax receipts paid in FY 2024. Moving to taxable values, both the city and the county continue to experience substantial growth. The city's taxable value eclipsed $35 billion in 2024, while the county's is just over $135 billion. However, the bigger takeaway is that St. Petersburg continues to comprise a larger portion of the county's overall total, indicating that the city's tax values are growing more quickly than the county. Since spiking after the pandemic, St. Petersburg has continued to see double-digit growth in taxable value, with a 10.6% increase between 2023 and 2024. This is 1.1% higher than Clearwater and 1.3% higher than the county for the same period. The South St. Petersburg CRA has experienced even more impressive growth in the last 5 years, outpacing the city by anywhere from 5% to 13% per year. In 2024, the CRA saw tax values increase by 15.4%, 4.8% higher than the city overall. These increases in tax values help grow the CRA's tax increment financing, or TIF fund. It is this mechanism that allows the city to invest in programs like down payment assistance, the Microfund program, and St. Pete Works, generating opportunities for new, affordable, and workforce housing, home ownership, small business growth, and workforce development. Here are the top 10 taxpayers in St. Petersburg. Raymond James is notable for not only being the largest taxpayer in the city, it is also the only non-residential property on this list. Once we adjust that list for acreage, you'll see that Raymond James falls toward the bottom, along with other larger properties like TGM Bay Isle. Instead, dense residential developments in downtown stand out on this list and demonstrate the importance of this type of development in St. Petersburg. These projects generate significantly higher tax revenue per acre and greatly contribute to the city's ability to fund new projects and programs throughout St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg had another record-setting year, with just under $1.4 billion in permitted construction value in 2024 and nearly 35,000 permits issued. While the storms did contribute to this total, much of that activity did not occur until the end of 2024 or the start of 2025. And speaking of permits, I would like to acknowledge the city's building official, Don Tyre, and his development services team. This team has worked tirelessly on thousands of emergency permits while still working through the standard day-to-day permitting operations of the city. We thank you for your work and ensuring continued economic opportunity. As we just discussed the importance of dense urban development to the city's overall budget, let's examine our downtown dwelling units. There are 11,393 units currently in downtown, with another 1,269 units under construction and 2,677 units in the pipeline, meaning that they have approved site plans or they have announced their development plans. Once the projects under construction and in the pipeline are complete, the downtown residential inventory will have increased by 35%. While dense residential projects help the city's overall economy, it's imperative that we address the need for housing opportunities across all income levels throughout St. Petersburg. This slide tracks the goals outlined in the city's Housing Opportunity for All plan and our progress toward those goals. We are 73% towards our goal of creating and preserving 3,200 multifamily homes, with 2,325 homes either complete or in progress. New accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, continue to come online, and a revision to the South St. Petersburg CRA's Affordable Housing Redevelopment Loan Program will be presented to City Council in June to provide additional assistance for developing affordable ADUs. Finally, we've exceeded our goal of 150 new single-family affordable homes, with 49 homes already complete and another 147 currently in progress. Now let's look at some trends in our office and retail space. Citywide, office space vacancy increased from 6.8% to 8%, while rents increased from $27 to $28.03 per square foot. While both numbers have risen since 2021, the delta between our current rents and the cost of new office construction continues to be a challenge for our area. At the end of 2024, Colliers reported a total vacancy rate of 14.3% and an average rent of $31.66 per square foot for Tampa, and a 13.1% vacancy rate at $26 per square foot for all of Pinellas County, putting St. Petersburg's vacancy rate lower than both, and our rental rates in the middle. Moving to downtown, vacancy increased from 5% to 6.1%, while rents increased from $32.24 to $33.83 per square foot. Compared to downtown Tampa, Colliers reported a vacancy rate of 9.2% and rents of $39.58 per square foot. Clearwater has a downtown vacancy rate of 20.5% and rents of $23.49 per square foot. Downtown St. Petersburg continues to benefit from a lower vacancy rate than our peers and a lower rental rate than downtown Tampa. In Gateway, our vacancy rate is higher than downtown at 11%, with rents at $26.88 per square foot. Both of these figures have increased steadily since the pandemic. While we expect vacancy in Gateway to further increase because of changes at HSN, Foot Locker's move to the area will help partially offset it. Meanwhile, Colliers reported a 13.9% vacancy rate for the West Shore area, significantly higher than Gateway. Their rental rates are also significantly higher at $35.32 per square foot. Skyway Marina District has a vacancy rate of 2.6%, which is generally considered fully occupied. The rent per square foot increased sharply by $9.43 from 2023 to 2024, driven by high demand. The peak you see in 2021 was due to the 34.2-acre Ceridian site, which Altus Cardinal is now redeveloping to include over 2,000 residential units, 80,000 square feet of retail space, 22,500 square feet of office space, and 4,000 parking spaces. Moving to retail space in the city, our vacancy rate increased slightly by 0.2%. However, rental rates also saw an increase of $1.58 per square foot. Rental rates have increased sharply since 2021, while the vacancy rate has generally remained the same, indicating high demand for retail space in the city. While this speaks to the strength of the retail market in St. Petersburg, it also emphasizes the need to ensure that our local small businesses are positioned to absorb these increases and benefit from this strong demand. This overall trend highlights the importance of capacity building opportunities for our local small businesses through the greenhouse and our economic development partners. Looking at our four Main Street areas, the Edge District, Grand Central District, Deuces Live, and Skyway Marina District, vacancy has increased 1.1% since last year and is 3.4% higher than the city overall. This is likely in part due to the increase in rents, which rose $6.8 per square foot between 2023 and 2024 and are nearly $10 a square foot higher than the city as a whole. When looking at the main streets individually, Skyway Marina District has a very low vacancy at 2.8%. Edge and Grand Central are similar, around 7.5%, with the Edge experiencing a bit of an increase from last year due to new construction that is currently being advertised for lease. However, the Deuces Live corridor paints a drastically different picture, with vacancy holding at 23.9% over the last 4 years. This highlights the importance of projects like Voices from the Corridor, which Tracy presented on earlier, to provide economic opportunities for investment along the corridor. It is also reflected in the city's priorities for the Deuces Townhomes, Manhattan Casino, the former Merriweather site, and Tangerine Plaza. Speaking of city priorities, I would be remiss not to address some significant projects that have recently garnered considerable attention. City staff and administration continue to make progress toward the redevelopment of our municipal marina. While the progress was delayed by the acquisition of our private partner, the city has continued working on a dual-track approach to ensure that we are positioned to proceed with the development as quickly as possible. The Center for the Arts conceptual plan was presented to City Council's Economic and Workforce Development Committee in April. It calls for a new parking garage for the Dolly Museum, the Mahaffey Theater, and the surrounding development. Additionally, the plan calls for a new retail space activating First Street South. Based on the input received, we will refine these concepts for continued dialogue with our partners and the community and are set to present an updated vision for the area later this year. Finally, while we are disappointed that the Tampa Bay Rays elected not to move forward with the historic gas plant project, we know the site's future remains exceedingly bright. While we are currently focused on repairing the stadium in accordance with our obligations, we continue to have discussions both internally and externally on what happens next. Although many of these discussions are preliminary, one thing that is certain is that any future development on this site will be done with a focus on community and economic opportunity, ensuring that the promises made more than 40 years ago are finally realized. Since our last State of the Economy presentation, we've had many notable developments open or will soon be open in St. Petersburg, including Park and Main, a 17-story, 176-unit mixed-use development in Carillon Park's Echelon City Center. The Moxie Hotel, a 7-story, 160-key hotel with a rooftop restaurant in the Edge District. Reflection, an 88-unit condo with rooftop pool and entertainment area overlooking Mirror Lake. Perry's Porch, a 150-seat restaurant at the entrance to the pier with a nod to St. Pete's history and its landmarks. Central Park St. Pete, a 28,000 square foot dining hall featuring 10 different concepts, a rooftop bar, and event space. And Foot Locker. Moving from New York City to St. Petersburg, Foot Locker will add nearly 150 new jobs with an average annual salary of at least $120,000 per year and lease a 111,000 square foot office space in Carillon. As we celebrate some of our recent successes, here are some projects on the horizon that will be open before our next State of the Economy. The Deuces Townhomes, 24 for-sale affordable 2- and 3-bedroom townhomes on the Deuces Corridor. Art House, a 42-story condo tower featuring 244 units with 6,000 square feet of retail along Central Avenue and 3rd Street. The Manhattan Casino. The city is renovating this historic entertainment venue, restoring it to a classic look. It is set to reopen in spring 2026 with both floors available as affordable event space for rent. And 400 Central, a 46-story, 301-unit condo tower with 60,000 square feet of commercial space, filling an entire city block along Central Avenue between 4th and 5th Streets. It's important to note that nothing happens in a vacuum, and projects and initiatives that we've discussed would not be possible without the support of our city partners, many of whom are with us today. On behalf of the city, our City Development Administration, and our community, thank you for the work that you do every day to improve our city, strengthen our economy, and ensure continued economic opportunity. Partnerships are critical to workforce development, as we all play a crucial role in ensuring our community is well-trained with access to good-paying jobs. Through our partnership with Pinellas Technical College, the city launched the Mayor's Future Ready Academy in 2024. 21 cadets graduated, and 15 of those gained employment with the city of St. Petersburg. In conjunction with St. Petersburg College and other partners like PERC, the St. Pete Works program has provided training and job placement for over 400 residents. Boley supports the city's youth with their after-school youth employment program and summer youth intern program, supporting 116 students with job opportunities and career-building services last year alone. And finally, the city was proud to support the Chamber's Hire Initiative, part of the Workforce and Talent Committee, bringing together 37 partner organizations to map out our collective workforce development programs and identify areas for future growth. Speaking of the Chamber's Workforce and Talent Committee, it is chaired by our last speaker of the afternoon, Mr. Russell Williams. Russell is an almost Florida native, having lived in the region since age 2. He graduated from USF with degrees in finance and marketing and received an MBA from the University of Florida. Go Gators. He joined Power Design in 2014 and has helped shape the company's national recruiting strategy and workforce development efforts. As Director of Recruiting and Talent Strategy, Russell leads a high-performing team that partners closely with leadership to attract top talent, bridge labor gaps, and create employee development opportunities. In addition to his role with the Chamber's Talent and Workforce Committee, Russell also serves on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce and CareerSource. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Russell Williams.
Hello. Thanks for that introduction, Brian. Let's see if I can get this clicker to work. All right, we're good. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Mayor Welch, thank you for the invitation. Much appreciated. City leaders, fellow community members, thank you for your time. As mentioned, my name is Russell Williams. I have had the privilege of serving as the Director of Recruiting and Talent Strategy at Power Design over the last decade. And we're a nationally recognized mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and systems technology, it's a mouthful, contractor, proudly headquartered right here in St. Pete. As mentioned, a decade has given me some gray hair. That picture is a little bit old that you saw up there. Got to get a new one. It's a true honor to be here and represent our company today and share a few highlights of our journey, our economic impact as a company, but most importantly, our commitment to building not just structures and buildings, but people, careers, and a strong, resilient community here in St. Pete. Okay. Power Design was founded a little over 35 years ago. And from day one, the goal has always been to redefine what it means to build. We began as a small electrical contractor, but through grit, innovation, a strong winning culture, we've grown into a full MEP technology powerhouse, currently residing in over 28 states. And although we've grown nationally over the years, our heart and our headquarters has always been right here in St. Pete, which we're very proud of. So to take you back a little bit, over the last 10 years, we've delivered 56 major projects right here in St. Pete. That's totaling over 14,000 residential units, many of which were just shown on screens before. Many of those projects are ours here locally in St. Pete. If you snap back to 2010, that number increases to 74 projects, over 18,000 units here locally in St. Pete. In our company's history over the last 35 years in the Tampa Bay region, we've done over 111 projects, ranging around 27,000 units, which we're very proud of. That's a real brick and mortar impact, obviously, to our community and our area, but the human capital is just as important. We're very proud that we employ over 1,823 people here locally, and that's continuing to grow. That's 1,800 families supported, kids fed, mortgages paid, and careers launched, all helping to fuel the economy, the economic engine of the city that we love. As many of you know, or if you're in the construction and trades, we have faced real headwinds over the last decade or so. We've seen labor shortages in both skilled and entry-level roles, rise in material costs, project delays, and a growing gap between the jobs that we need to fill and those in which can fill them. At Power Design, we believe we can't afford to wait around for these problems to get fixed. And that's why we've created our hire to retire strategy. This is a philosophy centered around long-term workforce investment and workforce development. This means we don't just hire people to fill gaps. We hire them to grow, develop, upskill them, and have them stay long-term here in our city. This includes nationally accredited programs such as our apprenticeship program, which I'm proud to say since 2023, we've already produced over 150 licensed electricians with hundreds more currently in the pipeline ready to take jobs. A 30,000 square foot innovation and training center that's right here in St. Pete, designed to give our employees access to the best tools, safety training, and leadership development. And of course, continuing to partner with our local high schools, technical colleges, universities, and veteran programs to build direct, sustainable pipelines into the trades. We believe this is the way forward, not just for our company, but for the industry and our city. To give you a quick example, I hired a kid out of Pinellas County Schools probably 6 years ago, and he went through our apprenticeship program and is now today right out here on 400 Central, managing a crew and in a leadership role, all before the age of 25. That's the kind of upward mobility that makes the city stronger, and that's happening every day inside our walls. As we look ahead, We look to the future of St. Pete, and the question isn't, what are we going to build? It's who we're going to build with. The solution, we believe, lies in stronger collaboration with public and private sectors, working together to close the skill gaps, boost access, and evaluate local talent. We're excited about what lies ahead. We're continuing to expand, continuing to grow, and we're continuing to invest not just in construction, but in people. Power Design's story, or success story, in a lot of ways is a St. Pete success story, and we don't take that for granted. We're proud to call this city home, and we're deeply committed to seeing it grow smartly, sustainably, and with the people at the center of the process. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, and thank you for continuing to build a city where companies like ours and the incredible people behind them can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. I would now like to invite our City Development Administrator, James Corbett, back to the podium to present the 2025 Economic Impact Award.
Thanks, Brian, and we're getting to the fun part now, so if all of this data crunching has made you thirsty and hungry, we're going to have an opportunity to get some food and drink, but also I'm pleased to have an opportunity to honor a wonderful person and employee. So I'm here to recognize the 2025 recipient of the Economic Impact Award, and this award goes to no one other than our own Elizabeth Abernathy. Let's give her a hand. So Liz, as we affectionately call her, has served the city of St. Petersburg since 2014, first as a zoning official and then the manager of the Development Review Services Division. Up until her retirement, just very recently, I finally let her go. And when I say let her go, I mean I was holding her captive. Liz was the director of the Planning and Development Services Department, where she directed the city's building, zoning, planning, and historic preservation activities. Liz's efforts in St. Pete include leading the award-winning St. Pete 2050 Community Vision effort, updating the downtown waterfront master plan, shepherding code changes that allow ADUs citywide, and the new missing middle zoning district. Liz has worked on updating the coastal high hazard policies and regulations to address sea level rise and storm vulnerability, as well as creating the Store Conservation Corridor overlay, addressing space for small business and corridor character. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Liz's time with the city was the culmination of a distinguished career that spanned over 30 years as a practicing planner in Tampa Bay region. In addition to her time at the city, Liz served as the site development project manager for Blooming Brands. She was also the senior project manager for a firm Wilson Miller Stantec, and Liz also spent 11 years with the city of Tampa before she came over to the better side. Liz's guidance, collaboration, collaborative approach, and leadership have had a tremendous impact on our community, which will be continued to be felt for years to come, which is why I held on to her as long as I possibly could. So please join me in honoring Liz Abernathy with the 2025 City of St. Petersburg Economic Impact Award.
Thank you, everybody. It just has been such an honor to serve my city this past decade, and what a appropriate way and send-off to my retirement. And I'm looking forward to travel and doing lots of new things, and I'll be back in the fall, so you might see me again, you should see me again, but maybe we'll be doing something different next time. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for this honor. I couldn't have done all of the things that I've done over the last decade without the team at the city and our administration, our city council. I've just been so fortunate in my career to be able to do things that most planners dream about doing. We've been able to do that here in St. Pete. So thank you, everybody, and have a nice night.
So with that, to close us out with some closing remarks, I'm going to turn it back over to Brian Caper.
Well, congratulations, Liz. Your impact on our community can be seen every day, and you have been a consistent champion for St. Petersburg. I wish you the best in your retirement. Thank you all for your time this afternoon. I encourage you to scan the QR code on the screen to access a copy of today's presentation. While our city has faced enormous challenges in the last year, we are resilient. Through programs like the We Are St. Pete Fund, our small businesses and residents are bouncing back. Projects like SPAR ensure that St. Petersburg's infrastructure is ready for the future, and the city's Office of Supplier Diversity and Greenhouse ensure our businesses are ready too. Through the leadership of Mayor Welch, City Council, and our community partners, the future of St. Petersburg is full of economic opportunity. In the face of economic uncertainty, our city is focused on expanding housing opportunities for all, advancing key development projects, and ensuring our residents are well-trained and ready for what's to come. I would like to thank Saildrone and Power Design for joining us this afternoon, sharing their stories, and helping keep St. Petersburg at the forefront of technology, training, and economic resilience. Finally, I would like to acknowledge our Economic and Workforce Development Department. Not only are they responsible for putting together today's event, but they're integral to many of the programs that we've covered today. Would the EWD team please stand to be recognized? Now, I invite you to join us across the hall for refreshments. Thank you for attending the 2025 State of the Economy. Together, we are St. Pete.